Life has a way of really just humbling everyone and teaching us hard lessons that it may have paid off to have, what's the word, walked around or escaped and stuff like that. So that's the truth. Hello, my YouTube family. How you doing? I've missed you. Believe me when I say that all the time. How you doing? I hope that last week I was able to inspire you to adopt forgiveness at work. I hope that you've been trying as best and as much as you can to really just let go when they do all those things that piss you off, that affect your productivity. It's again Mary here again. If you're new on my channel, my name is Mary Badmos, and on Sundays like this, I come here to discuss workplace dynamics and the many different ways, many different tips that can help people move on from all the trauma at work, all the many different issues. So if this topic interests you, or you may find him or looking for some like this, a channel like this, you should hit the like button, of course, hit the follow button so you don't miss anything from me, and then share to the many people out there who stand to gain and learn a whole lot from everything we're going to be talking about right here on my channel. That said, let's dig in. So, we started talking about forgiveness at work last week. Huge topic. I mean, it's just work, right? How can I do without them? Why do I have to forgive? We go to work, everybody does their part. I say goodbye, we see the next day, or we don't even see. So, why on earth should I forgive them? So, we talked about two different reasons last week. I told you that forgiveness is more beneficial to you so that you can move on and you don't carry the baggage of that person you're not talking to. You know, that moment where you see somebody and you're like, your brain quickly reminds you, no, we're not talking to this person. Yeah, that's a whole lot of baggage to carry. And of course, the fact that it affects collaboration at work. Maybe that fellow suddenly gets transferred to your department, or there's just something that you have to do together at work, and that particular thing is being threatened by the fact that you've not forgiven the other person. You've not had to sit down about it. You're not talking to each other. That's just a whole lot. And that can threaten collaboration. And we all know that collaboration at work has huge benefits. So I shared these two things with you last week. And today I'm here to share another two. And please borrow me your ears and try as much as possible to be open-minded. Not a lot of people, embrace forgiveness, and I understand, but I genuinely hope that at the end of this forgiveness series, I would have been able to change your mind, rewire your mind to forgive a bit more. Now, one, you don't forgive for today only, but because there is a future, because there is a tomorrow when you might need that person. Now, we've talked about how you need to collaborate in the same workplace environment, but more often than not, we forget that we can still meet outside. There's many different areas. You can meet in church, you can meet in other places, but how about the times where you meet in areas where you have to be there for each other? Have you imagined scenarios like that? Now, here's where I'm going. You have that issue with whoever that person is and all of that, and then you meet elsewhere. Imagine even meeting at at another workplace, and then this other person has to recommend you for something. Have you even imagined that? And the one thing, the one memory that they have of you is a fight you had, the big issue you had, where you just couldn't find a way around it. You couldn't get back to talking to each other again. And then here you are. So what do you think about that? Because when we talk about forgiveness about at work, sometimes it's not just on coworker to coworker level. Sometimes it's coworker to boss. Your boss does something to you and you hold on to it so grudgingly. And here you are at a different workplace. Here you are in a different social environment where you just need one person, you need one voice to recommend you. For some people, this might not mean anything. You hear people say, no matter who they are, you're going to find a way. But the truth is, life has a way of really just humbling everyone and teaching us hard lessons that it may have paid off to have, walked around or escaped and stuff like that. So that's the truth. So this has happened in a lot of many different lives or many different people's lives. So you don't have to wait until it happens to you before you learn the lesson of forgiveness. So put that down somewhere. Forgiveness isn't always for today. It's for tomorrow. It's for the times where you might come in contact, sorry, with that person again, and you might come in handy for them, or they might be the solution to something you're looking for. So think about the future. When you think forgiveness, think there is a tomorrow. Okay? Forgive so that you can be forgiven. This is something that people ignore sometimes. You know, when we talk about this whole karma thing, what goes around comes around, people take it more spiritual or more far away than it actually is sometimes. The truth is, there are people observing you and observing the way that you handle issues. Somebody pissed you off today, you did everything, you ranted so bad, and then you've been trying to make their lives miserable from that time onward or from that time forward. And then somehow it's your turn. You've offended another boss, you've done this or you've done that. And this person has been carefully observing your conduct ever since the other person offended you or pissed you off or did something you don't like. How do you think they're going to react? Some people might shut their eyes to it, but quite a lot of people would also want to show you, it is your turn. That thing you've been doing to the other person, now I want to do the same thing to you. And we see these patterns play out at work very, very often, not just at work, in many different areas. I'm not blackmailing you, I'm telling you the truth. So we also forgive so that we would also be forgiven. That's something that you don't want to throw away or trivialize. Yes, we forgive so that we can also be forgiven. There are so many people that are not going to see it this way, but you really need to do the same things you expect others to do to you. And this is not just taking it from the angle of the gospel or spirituality. What you give out has the tendency, almost always, in fact, comes back to you. So forgive so that you would also be forgiven. Okay. And let me just give you a few tips that can help when somebody has, what's the word, wronged you at work. First of all, recognize that you are not perfect. I remember saying this last week as well. We're all as imperfect as it gets. The truth is, whatever that person did to you doesn't exactly isn't exactly something you would do to another person based on your values and the person that you are. That's the truth. They could be worse. So when I say you're imperfect, I'm not trying to say you're exactly as that person. Don't mix up the two. Yeah, that's the word. Okay, so that's one thing. When you're able to recognize or realize that you're also imperfect, it's a good standpoint. It's a good what's the word, it's a good place to offer, to give, to choose forgiveness. That's a good place to choose forgiveness from. When you see it as, I'm actually imperfect, trust me, it's a good place to start from. Okay? Now, aside from that, there's another quote that's always helped me across life. When somebody tells you you've hurt them, you don't get to say you didn't. That's it. And I know how tough this is going to be to swallow. I know. It simply means that you need to try sometimes to see things from their point of view, try to stand in their shoes. That helps. It doesn't mean you're, what's the word? It doesn't mean you're caving in, you're accepting all the wrong and everything, but the point remains that they're saying you hurt them. So sometimes if you are able to make that first step because you understand, oh, I heard this person, they said so. That's how they see it. So I don't get to prove I did not hurt you. I'm going to carry this. That might actually make the process longer. I really hope you understand what I'm saying. So when somebody says you hurt them, sometimes you really don't get to prove that you don't or that you didn't. Sorry. So in that case, step forward and apologize. Sometimes you would have to be the bigger person. It depends on what you want to choose. You want to choose forgiveness, you're going to have many times where you're going to have to be the one stepping up to say, I'm sorry. Can we start over as friends? Can we start over as colleagues again? Another tip I want to give you for forgiveness at work is when somebody has offended you, if truly you want to choose forgiveness, don't go around talking about it. Not every single person in that workplace environment is your friend or is that other fellow's friend. And sometimes there are always people that have been eyeing the relationship you have with that person, you've had a fallout with, so they're just going to weigh in on it and weaponize it. And then you lose some workplace relationships that would have turned out to be way more beautiful if you really just chose forgiveness. Okay, so when something like that happens at work, the next thing to do is not start to peddle the whole thing, talk about it with this person, with A and B and C, and they all just weigh into it and all of that. Another thing I want you to do for me as it concerns forgiving people at work. Another tip that works for me is using a mediator. Sometimes you've tried so hard to connect with that person again, you've apologized, but there's still a lot of friction, or beyond the friction now, the person is not listening to you, you're not back to yourselves again. You could try somebody else, a boss you trust, another colleague that can help in that situation. Sometimes we keep some things to ourselves because we think, oh, I'm protecting my privacy. But the truth is, there are people that can actually help. So if you find yourself in this situation, please bring in a mediator. Let them try to do a thing or two to bring you guys back together again. So that's where I'm going to be stopping today, guys. I hope that with all these points of mine, with these few points of mine from last week, and of course, today, I've been able to reach some part of you to, what's the word, rewire your mind to start to forgive people. Trust me, it is more beneficial to you who's been wrong. That's the irony of this whole thing, than to that other person who's wronged you. So let's not choose forgiveness so that we can have less trauma at work and we can focus on the things that actually help us to be productive at work. Okay, guys, so that's all about that for today. Until my next video, I hope that you keep winning at work. I hope that you keep standing tall, standing strong, and conquering every single thing that is threatening your well-being at work. I hope that you forge, that's the word, beautiful relationships at work, beautiful relationships that are collaborative, that elevate you and don't put you down. That's my prayer for you. So all right, guys, I'm going to be saying my bye bye now. If you still not followed me, you should do that right about now. Remember to like and share this video. And of course, I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody.